Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at delves and basically everything you need to know, from how to get undercoins to how the delve tracks work, what's the best way to gear with them, etc. So first let's talk about delves and bountiful delves. So basically delves are static locations on the map that do not change. Each region in the War Within has its own delve, which honestly speaking for the most part is pretty accessible and pretty easy to do. The delves will scale up in tiers, and those tiers become more difficult as you go along. We'll talk about all this in a bit more detail just now. Bountiful delves are delves that you do that are special delves. These delves are accessible once per day per each zone, and basically how it works is these delves have increased rewards should you have a restored Cofe Key to exchange for the prizes at the end. So definitely more incentive to do bountiful delves because of the increased rewards that they give you, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail when we talk about the gearing section. But to identify bountiful delves, you'll notice that their logo has like a flaming open doorway. This will indicate that it's bountiful delve. If you go there, you'll see that it has an option for bountiful cash. Now, bountiful cash is also important because this will enable you to get as well, some additional rewards at the end, but you need a restored Cofe Key to access it. So it's not necessarily so straightforward as just doing the bountiful delves. You're also capped at the bonus companion XP of once per day per delve, but you can continue to rerun them to pick up rewards inside the delve. Now let's briefly talk about obtaining restored Cofe Keys, because this is a very important process, especially when it comes to bountiful delves. Now restored Cofe Keys are obtained in numerous ways, but restored Cofe Keys are mainly obtained by completing your first 4 weekly caches. So your first 4 weekly caches will always contain a restored Cofe Key. So this is things from like Lamplighter packs, Pinnacle Cache, Radiant Cache, General War Test, the Visor, or anything from like any of the regions, those weekly events, quests, etc. You can also get restored Cofe Keys by exchanging 100 Cofe Key shards. There are world quests available that will give you Cofe Key shards, and you can find these randomly spawning throughout the zone. Renown from certain factions will give you shards. So for Council of Dornagard, 17, Assembly of the Deeps at 13, Halafor Arathi at 14, and Severed Threads at 13. You will get a Renown Key, restored Cofe Key, and then you can also get a restored Cofe Key by doing World Soul events, which you can only do by exchanging a Radiant Echo at a World Soul event location, and Radiant Echoes only drop from your first bountiful chest of the day. So it's a way to store up on Cofe Keys. You can also eventually buy some through the rewards track of the actual delves itself, which is pretty cool. So next let's talk about the unlocking delve tiers, because this is very important and it's important for the gearing process. So unlocking delve tiers simply requires you to do the tier before. So if you have done tier 7, you can do tier 8. If you've done tier 8, you can do tier 9. If you've done tier 9, you can do tier 10. In the campaign and getting to level 80, you will get the ability to do tier 4. So you should be able to start at tier 4, slowly work your way up. Tier 8 at this point in time offers the maximum number of rewards. You can, of course, push higher, but the rewards will not increase beyond a bit more experience and some more undercoins and delve track progress. But you will not get better item level rewards. Now, gearing with delves is pretty simple. What you're going to want to do, essentially, to gear with delves, is you're going to want to push normal delves to the point of being at tier 8. So push normal delves until you are at tier 7, tier 8, depending on what you can handle. And then you want to basically run only bountiful delves once per day at tier 8. So whatever bountiful delve you find that you want to do, if you have a restored Cofe Key, you want to run that at tier 8 and then complete it, and that will not only give you a 603 piece of gear once you complete it, if you have lives left, which we'll talk about now during the gameplay portion, but it will also contribute towards your weekly chest. So it's a very, very important process, and gearing with delves, essentially the most and only beneficial way is to do bountiful delves at tier 8 or higher. Now before we talk about going into the delves and the gameplay there, understanding Brann and making sure that you are able to utilize Brann properly is key to engaging in delves. So now upgrading Brann is essentially a pretty straightforward process. Firstly, let's understand how Brann works. Brann has two settings, damage dealer or healer, and Brann has two different interchangeable items that you can give him to change how he functions. These are his curios, and he has one in combat curio and one out of combat curio. But basically, in terms of the combat curio and the out of combat curio, there are still great combat options. Now, right now, the porcelain arrowhead is the #1 option, and the amorphous relic is also the #1 option. And this is largely due to how much they increase your overall damage. Currently, also Brann in damage dealer mode is by far the best, and you should never ever have him in healer mode. The only other way to improve Brann's performance is through upgrading his curios, which you have a chance of obtaining at higher tiers in Bountiful delves. Standard delves will not give you upgrades to his curios, at least beyond level 2, and increasing his rank and level, which you get from XP from completing certain tasks, whether that's collecting treasures or beating enemies, and obviously the final bonus from actually completing the delve. Now, delve gameplay is pretty straightforward. They're very similar to scenarios from like Mists of Pandaria. Essentially, you will be tasked, depending on which storyline you get, with certain objectives within the delve. Delves have 2 to 3 variants of objectives that they can provide you at any given time. And so when you enter the delve, if you get a objective, say collect the pigs, you know exactly what your next 2 objectives will be. However, you can enter that delve again, and you can have a different objective. Usually each of them have 2 to 3 different ones. In the course of being in the delve, there's a couple of things you're going to want to do. So firstly, you need to make sure that you collect as many treasures as possible. These can be in the format of small curios. These can be in the format of big chests. These can be in the format of little puzzles that you complete. And the reasons you want to do this is a couple of reasons. Firstly, you can obtain treasures that will increase Brann's XP. Secondly, as well, they can contain things like resonance crystals, valor stones, etc. Items that you can sell for decent gold. But also, they have a chance to drop delve boons. Now, delve boons can range from things like 2% mastery to being the ability for Brann to example, throw essentially a whole bunch of junk at enemies, causing huge damage and throwing grenades. It's a whole bunch of really wacky boons and buffs that you can get that can help you out, very similar to Torghast. So in Torghast you would get like major and minor boons, some would dramatically change how you play. This is the same concept currently inside delves. However, these ones are quite rare. Like I would say in Torghast you had quite a high chance of getting the good ones. Here it's very, very different. You will get certain checkpoints where you will be able to revive at certain points, but from tier 4 onwards you will have a set number of lives that you can revive. Now should you fail, your rewards basically are reduced to nil, and so there's no point to complete the delve, especially if it's a bountiful delve. You want to actually avoid completing it and handing in your key, because you're not going to gain nearly as much. On top of that as well, it's important to understand that your revive counter is very crucial towards how you play within the delve, and you need to keep that up as you work. Now, your first completion will give you a special item called the Archaic Cipher Key. You can hand this in to get a head start on your delve track and also on top of your Undercoin collection. From there, standard delves don't give you much. Standard delves, completing them will contribute to your great weekly vault quests. So for example, doing tier 8s on standard will contribute to you getting, for example, a 616 item from the Greatly Vault, but it will not give you good items at the end. They're stuck at 554 gear, and also on top of that, you don't get much else. You will still get some delve track XP. You will still get XP for Brann, you will still get progress, just not as much. Now, Bountiful Delves are very different. Bountiful Delves will give you not only increased rewards, like Delve Track XP, Undercoins, etc., and crests, but Bountiful Delves will also give you essentially a guaranteed piece of item, should you have lives left, and also Radiant Echo, which you can use to farm Cofe Key shards, and on top of that as well, will give you a whole bunch of other really good goodies. These will contribute the same towards your weekly vault as normal ones do, but the in-delve rewards are greatly increased. So your end-game rewards from the chests are improved, your overall rewards in terms of currencies are improved, and just in general, it will make farming whatever you need to farm from delves to be a lot more productive and a lot more faster and better to do. If you do a tier 8 Bountiful Delve, you can get 603 gear, which is the highest current tier of gear that you can obtain. Upon finishing your first delve, you will also obtain a quest to unlock the Delver's Dirgible. This is a special mount that you get from completing your very first tier 4. By going to Brann and handing this in, you will gain access to the Delver's Dirgible. The Delver's Dirgible does not stop there. Much like the dragon riding mounts, it is a customizable mount. So basically you can unlock further customization for the Delver's Dirgible through the course of the Delver's Track and Delver's Rewards. The Delver's Dirgible recipes and upgrades need to be bought, and they can be bought from the 2 vendors that are available in the delving area. So you can see Reno Jackson and you can see Mr. Finley, and you can speak to both of these guys and purchase yourself a ton of customizable options for the Dirgible. The Dirgible's customizations are sometimes locked behind certain thresholds in the Delver's Track, so you are just going to keep aware of that, because if you don't, then if you don't reach that threshold, then you're not going to be able to exchange for those appearance modifiers. Now, on top of that as well, the Delver's Track does give you other benefits. It's important to understand that the majority of your gain will come from doing Bountiful Delves over doing standard delves. This is generally where I found I gained a lot of benefit from my Bountiful Delves over my standard delves. The Delver's Track not only unlocks more recipes for your Dirgible, but also unlocks resonance crystals. It lets you purchase basically some equipment, and on top of that as well, it lets you also, as previously mentioned, obtain restored Cofe Keys, which can help you with your frequency of farm overall. So it is a very good reward track, but it's similar to like a renown system, and you need to obviously work at it, and it can take quite a while to obviously complete. In terms of delve vendors, we have quite a few vendors. We have Reno Jackson, who's more Transmog based with a bit of Delver's Dirgible stuff. He's a little bit locked behind the Delver's Track or Delver's Renown system that you obviously saw previously. But there's also Mr. Finley, who sells obviously more modification items, but also sells a couple pets and also gear. And it's pretty nice gear. Like, it's not crazy, but I mean 580 is good starter gear for other classes. It is warbound transferable, so it's a great way if you're stocking up on these to potentially use these to gear up your alts and give them a good head start in the new expansion. Aside from that, your main benefits are the Great Vault. So as mentioned before, you can gear up pretty nicely. You get tier 8 if you do your Bountifuls, if you keep your restored keys. You can very quickly get a whole bunch of 603 gear. But by completing 2 tier 8s, you gain access to a 616 guaranteed Great Vault item. And this is very, very good. So it's a great way to get a good chunk of solo rewards, group rewards. Achievements and mounts, basically to cut a long story short, there are a couple of achievements. A lot of them don't contribute to anything except for the one. Now the one achievement essentially will get you a pretty cool mount, I guess. For some people, that's not really my cup of tea. But basically, if you complete this achievement, you will be able to, it's Glory of the Delver, you'll be able to get the Ivory Goliath mount. And this is an interesting unit, and, well, yeah, basically it's just a cool little mount to get that's very Arubnaractic, Naburian type of looking. But that's it for me. That's everything you need to know. I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, bye.